Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a small clay dish using textures. We're going to be using quite a bit of supplies. You're going to need a block of clay, a couple paper towels, water, styrofoam bowl, a skewer, textures, and a rolling pin. When you get your block of clay, you're going to have to smooth it out and round it out just like you would use with Play-Doh. So I'm going to roll it around, smooth it a little bit, just making sure that it's not dried or cracking. If it does have a couple cracks in it, you can use tiny bits of water, but the more water you put on there, the more it's going to turn into mud. So try not to use too much. Once you have it nice and smooth, you're going to place it on your paper towel, super important, and start smacking the top of it just to make it flat before you use the rolling pin. Now whenever I'm using the rolling pin, I like to roll a little bit and then turn the clay. That way it doesn't tear the paper towel or get stuck to the table, because the last thing you're going to want to do is have to peel off your clay to make it workable again. I also recommend my students standing up during this part because it will help get a lot of leverage on your clay and it will be easier to roll. One way of testing out to see if my clay is even is just placing your hand on top of it and making sure that it's not too thick or too thin. You're going to be able to feel kind of like mountains and valleys and peaks and valleys in it, so I'm just putting my hand on top of it and making sure it's nice and smooth. Now I'm going to place my template right on top of the clay. And I'm going to put my skewer straight down with the pointy side right there down into the clay. Make sure it's clean. I'm going to poke it down and then just use it straight up, and you're going to have to push hard. This is okay if you rip your paper towel. That's totally fine. Now I'm going to clean off the skewer, put it to the side, and peel off the extra clay. Now one thing that you can help with the community of the art studio is save the extra clay, and I like to break it off into just tiny like golf ball sizes, and I smooth it out, and there's going to be a bag at either the back of the room or the front of the classroom, and you're going to save that for other classes because they are going to get that small ball of clay to use for their art project. So just put those balls of clay off to the side, pick up your template, and if you look at the size of and the thickness of my clay, it's about the size of a thick cookie. And with little tiny drops of water, I'm going to start smoothing the edges. If you leave them flat and sharp like that, they will turn into sharp pieces of glass. So I'm smoothing out the edges to make them round and not so sharp when they come out of the kiln, which is the kind of like a big oven to bake the clay in. Just be really careful when you pick up the clay because I'm trying to keep it as close to the table as possible so that it doesn't fall or drop. I'm also making sure that the bottom is smooth as well as the top edges are smooth. Here's where the second paper towel comes in. You're going to lay it on the clay, put the texture on top, and squish down with your fingers. Then you're going to take the paper towel off, flip over the clay gently and very, very carefully without poking through to the other side. You're going to write your name with your skewer, and then you're going to also write your teacher's name. Please let Miss Albers know if you need any help picking up the clay to write your name on the bottom, and I will help you. Now you're going to flip this slab over with your name on the bottom, textures facing up, and gently press it into the bowl. You don't want to push too hard or else it will break and snap and ruin your little dish. I'm also taking one last look at the edges of my dish, and I'm going to smooth it out with just a little drop of water from my water cup. You're going to fold up your paper towel really carefully, and then I like to wipe any little extra crumbs right into my hand and throw that away because it creates a dust if it gets left behind, and it's not really good for us to breathe in. And then any extra clay that you have, just make sure that you smooth it into little golf ball sizes and save it for the next class.